The Star of the Wise, an exploration of the pip cards of the Minor Arcana on the Pentagram. By Diop Morgan, copyright 2020, Daijobu Kuma Productions. We need to start with what we do know. The pip cards of the Minor Arcana are 10. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 is divisible by 1, but that's not what we're exploring. 10 is divisible evenly by 2. It is divisible by 3, but it has a remainder. 4 will go into 10 twice, but has a remainder. 5 will go into 10 evenly twice. 6 through 9 will each go into 10 once, but will have a remainder. So, for our purposes, 2 and 5, and in particular 5, will be part of this video. With 10 divisible by 5, and the subject being including the pentagram, we're going to start with construction of the pentagram. Now you will notice that I do not draw it in the typical fashion, but instead I draw it this way because I'm not in the process of invoking anything at this time. Let's make sure I get the lines straight here. Yes, you too can draw the pentagram. Alright, so we have the pentagram of 5 points. We have 10 pip cards. We'll start with a simple numbering around the pentagram of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 through 10 we'll get to later. Now, the arrangement here is an outer arrangement. Some may wonder why I didn't use an inner arrangement of the first 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and such. That's essentially beyond the purpose of this video here, and that's something to cover in another video segment. So each one of these points of the pentagram represents a station or a focus of power that we can use to further explore the pentagram and the minor arcana and how they can be used in our everyday lives. So when we have 2 values, we can derive a third. So we know that there is 1, and at the other end of the leg there is a 3. So this all together can be summed up as 1 plus 3, which is 4. And so the outer energy, form, or manifestation of this first leg here is 4, which is order, arrangement, in some ways harmony, particularly if everything is working well together, which is accomplished by the individual coupled with understanding. The next segment of the video is going to have to wait because I have been interrupted by my cat. Well, say hello, Grace. So let's say, for example, that this beginning of the walkway here is 1, and then the next driveway up there is 3. So we then progress on this path from 1 to 3. And our experience of the path, the summation of what the path is 1 plus 3 combined, yielding 4. We begin from the outwardly visible to the inward hidden. So the sum of all of these exterior planes, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 6, is going to be 30, which reduces down to 3, which is understanding. So that is the nature of the outer reality of this arrangement. And then with the underlying reality of each of the legs of the pentagram, or the points, 7, 4, 6, 8, and 5. Remember, each of these numbers is a sum of the 2 points of the path. When we add those up, they also come to 30, which reduces down to 3. So the underlying reality is also understanding, or 3. With those combined, they yield 6, which is perfected existence. 6 essentially is the balance between the highest and the lowest in terms of Hermetic thought. So the whole time I'm talking about how there's an outer circumference and basically an outer reality, an underlying reality, and then the inner forces. And people may be wondering how the heck I'm coming to that. I'd like to use an analogy here of a tree. We've got the bark, which is the outward reality of it. This is what we experience. Just underneath that is the living part of the tree, which is all the cells and such that move the water, nutrients and such through the tree. And then inside the tree is going to be the heart of the tree, which is in some ways the living life force of the tree, and that's what we're talking about here. We've dealt with 1 through 5, but now we still have to deal with 6 through 10. So what we can do is take advantage of the creative spiral, and so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can go 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, I'm sure that some of you are wondering what's going on here, where 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are arranged in this inward part of the pentagram. Well, I'm glad you're wondering about that, because that means that we can roll up our sleeves and time to get technical. In my video series on the structure of the Minor Arcana, by the end of the series, we got to this point here where I had the ace up at top and I had the king down at bottom to help establish both a polarity and a symmetry. So we have essentially a higher and a lower. This doesn't necessarily mean base or corrupted, although some have interpreted it that way. But more like this is a source and this is the culmination or the manifestation of using that source. And so we have here with the pentagram. We can look at the pentagram in 2 ways. We can look at it with the pentagram upright here, which is a process of ascension or development. We can also look at the pentagram inverted, which is a process of descent, not necessarily of corruption. That can occur, but corruption can also occur here as well. So let's not get too lost in this. This is primarily a pentacle of manifestation, of how things become. And so what we do is we have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 here along this pentagram. So with both ascension and descent both working at the same time, We recognize this by having manifestation occurring within the greater concept of ascension or development. So the world is expanding, but manifestation is contracting at the same time. This can be interpreted in the form of a creative spiral. We begin with what is known, and we progress to what is not known. Or we can start from nothingness and progress to the infinite all. We having fun yet, or what? I am. Now, as a side note, some people may be wondering, well, if I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with an upright pentagram, how come I didn't do so with 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on an upright pentagram? And the answer is, you can. But that's not what I'm trying to get to for this video. I encourage people, though, to explore this, see what they can find out, and if they like, post their own videos as well. So, we take this inverted pentagram with the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, run them through the same analytic process we did with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the upright one. When we look at the outer manifestation of it, we have, pardon me, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, running it through the same analysis where we look first at the outer here, combining, for example, 7 and 6, we have 13, which yields 4. So if we go around, we find that we have through numerological reduction, we have 4, 6, 8, 1, and 7. Totaling those up, we have 26. Wisdom combined with the perfected state, which yields science. 2 plus 6 equals 8, so we have science. When we look at what I call the underlying reality of it here, the actual pentangle, when we go around and add those up, or put them through a process of reduction, we have 7, 8, 9, and 10. We then have 5, 7, 9, 6, and 8. And when we total those up, we have 35. Understanding combined with labor, in a sense, the great work, which yields, again, 8. Science! Back to this upright pentagram where we had just transcribed 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. One of the reasons I get so excited about this kind of exploration, this analysis, is what can be gained from it. Let's take, for example, this leg from 1 to 3. So we start out with 1, and we end it with 3 down here. I spoke earlier about how that creates a kind of realm of experience. Now, we add to it the 7 and the 8. So 7 and 8, pardon me, 7 and 8 here. So now, instead of 4, we can look at 1 and 3 as the polar ends, each end with a 4. And that could be, in effect, the dominant number. But then we have 7 and 8 here as kind of inner numbers. So, pardon me. So that comes to 15, which is reduced to 6. So the inner number is 6, the inner experience. But if we total them all together, so 7 and 3 is 10, 8 plus 1 is 9, we have 19, which yields 10. 6 plus 4 is 10, so we check, and therefore 1. So what's happening is, in the very first stroke, the very first path of this pentagram, we are proceeding from the individual to an understanding. And in this process of proceeding from the self to the understanding of the cosmos, we essentially create a world, our own realm. A world or realm that is derived from inside us and is reflected inside us. As within, so without. As without, so within.